I'm Apryl Stott, and I make the Coco and Bear books, and I'm here with my friend Reagan.
Hi.
And we're going to draw a picture of Bear from Find Your Brave.
So we're going to start with a couple colors of really light blue, like this, and a kind of like a purplish pinkish. And then I also have a tan color, not really peach, more of a tan. A brown like this, a black, and a black marker. You can use a Crayola marker or a Sharpie, whatever you have. Okay, so once you have your colors ready, then we can start. And when we start our picture, we're going to do a whisper line, not a screaming line, okay? So we're going to do it really, really light. I'm going to do it a little bit darker so that it shows up on the screen though. So I'm going to take my light blue and I'm going to start with a rectangle right here. So I'll do it first and then I'll hand the crayon to you and then you can do it. There you go. Very nice. And then on top of that, we're going to do the bear's head. So to kind of show us where we want it to be, first with your finger, I want you to take your finger and draw a circle on the top. And we want it to be about this big. Can you do a circle like that? And look at how sketchy mine is. It is definitely not perfect. Awesome. Okay, then we're going to do you see how in the corners right here, we're going to go right down here and do a rectangle, or I'm sorry, that's an oval like that and an oval like that. See how it's kind of like they're facing up, they're kind of sideways, and they are over the line right here. The line is going like halfway through it. Very nice, Reagan. Okay, and then right here, we're going to connect the head to the body by just making a line from the side of the circle down like that, all the way down to the arms. Awesome. Okay. And then when you're drawing, it's good to do the big shapes first so you can make sure they end up where you want them on the paper. And then right here in the middle of the circle, so find the middle of your circle and do a line like that. And then from that line, we're going to make a rectangle like this. So find the middle of the circle first, and then a rectangle about this size. Oh, that's perfect. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And then we're going to do his ears. We're going to come back and make them look nice. But right here, I'm just doing a circle. We don't want the circle to sit on top of it. Like if I drew the whole circle, see how it would come down on top of his head? Mm-hmm. So do 2 circles about that size, kind of in the corner of his head. Awesome. You're really good at this. Okay, and then in this book, Bear is being brave when he helps Coco find her brave. So he has a costume on. So we're going to draw his costume with this light blue still. I'm just doing the wings, which are just like kind of part of an oval coming out the side here. Very nice. And then he also has some little bee, a little bee headband, like bee antenna. So I did 2 circles, and then I'm going to do a line. See how my line kind of curves like that, down to the top of his head. Awesome. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit more planning. We're going to kind of decide where we want his nose to be and where we want his eyes to be. So I'm going to come onto this the rectangle that we drew, and this is going to be where his nose and mouth are. And we're going to come, I want you to find the middle of the rectangle again. So just draw a line like that in the middle, and then from that line, do an upside down triangle. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Okay, and then right here is where his eyes are going to be. So we want to kind of show the structure of his face, where his eyebrows and stuff are. So did you see I'm making two kind of turned in ovals, just like down here on his hands, the ovals are kind of turning in. And then right like on the corner where it meets the eye, I'm sorry, where the oval meets the rectangle, we're going to do a dot right there. And that's where his eyes will be. You're doing so good. Okay, so if you are not allowed to use Sharpie, just get a regular black marker. It doesn't have to be a Sharpie. I'm going to go over this dot first. And you can do it at the same time as me if you want. Right over this dot and right over this dot. Really good. Okay, we're going to then go on top of his nose. And that where we found the center line, we just did a line across. Just do a line like that. And then outline the rest of the triangle. And you can kind of soften the edges so it's not like super sharp. Oh, perfect. You already did that. And then from the bottom, draw lines up and then stop. So you're going up and stop, like that. Up and stop. Really close to each other. It's okay if they touch. And then we're going to do his little nostrils by just doing, you're barely even going to see them. But this, I just did two sideways ovals right there. You can barely see them. Okay, now we're going to do his little mouth with the Sharpie. So start by just doing a line down. Very nice. And his mouth is furry, so we don't want it to be perfectly straight. So I'm doing a furry line like that, and then at the end, I drew a little circle. Oh, that's perfect. Man, you're really good at this, Reagan. And then Bear has a really nice, happy face. So we're going to make his eyebrows like he's a good listener. He's really listening. So I did them kind of sideways, and I did a line, and a line. Oh, that's perfect, Reagan. Okay, so now we're going to put our Sharpie down, and we're going to pick up our black crayon. So I'm going to find you a black. Oh, look. And look at how old my crayons are. Even if they're broken, they still work. So it is no big deal if your crayons are not perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go over some of these lines. We're going to kind of clean up our sketch. This is like the base layer of our drawing. So we're going to start to kind of add more to it. So right here in the middle of his ear, see how the circle's right here, and then we have the circle of where the head starts. So I'm starting this right here, just inside. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. You don't have to color it in. You can just do the line, but it's okay if you color it in. Perfect. Okay, and then on the outside, we're going to kind of trace over this line, but we're not going to just do a solid line. It's like when we did the mouth. We're going to do kind of a sketchy, jagged line like this. Oh, that's awesome, Reagan. Okay, and then the same thing across the top of his head. It's not perfect. It's furry. Oh, that looks so good. Okay, and then down the side of his face. And when we do his face, we're not going to come in all the way here. We're going to go about halfway. So I'm going to start here at the ear and then curve it down. Does that make sense? So I started at the ear, and then I have this line that we drew for the head and this line for his shoulder. And I'm going right in between and making a curvy line like that. I didn't bring it all the way down. I stopped it right there. And then we're going to continue his shoulder right here. Actually, do you know what we're going to do first? Let's trace the shape of the sign that he's holding. And when you get to his little hand right here, or his paw, stop the black line. So don't go through the paw. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, So now we know where the sign is, and we can make his shoulders come down. So I'm gonna grab, don't mind my dog. I'm gonna grab this line right here and make it furry, furry, furry all the way down like that. Same thing on the other side. If it goes behind the sign, you can make this corner of the sign come on top of it. You're drawing things on top of other things. So that's perfect. And then right here, we're going to pull up and do a line like that. See, these are his paws. So I pulled up this line here, and then over here, I didn't bring it all the way down because I want it to look like his paws are kind of curved like that. Oh, that's so good, Reagan. And then the same thing on this side. We're gonna pull this line up over here, and we're gonna bring lines up over here. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna draw a whole bunch of fur on top of this. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Okay, so now we're gonna add a little bit more texture and shading with our black crayon. So we're gonna take this crayon right here, and we're just gonna, before we start, we're gonna make this line really close to where his smile is, just light and sketchy. See how I'm starting like kind of on the side of the nose and bringing it down? And then from underneath there, we can kind of do sketchy lines like this. And this is doing two things. It's adding texture, and it's also adding a shadow so that it looks like this is behind the sign, and there's a little shadow from the sign right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you can bring a little bit up on his face, but not too much because we want his face to look like it's coming out. Perfect. We can do some inside his ear like that. We can do some down here and make it come in this direction, the same that we pulled this line down, make the fur come in the same direction because we're showing the shadow, the texture, and the direction that the fur is going. And then I'm gonna do a little bit on the edges, just a little, so it looks like his arm is kind of curved, like three-dimensional. Very nice. Okay, so now we can do the same thing on this side. Okay, and then we can bring it up from the bottom of the paw. I'm bringing it up and I'm making, and if you do a few extra hairs that kind of come off, that works too. You know, like just make his hands, his little paws extra furry. It doesn't all have to go the same direction. They can kind of be, you know, because fur can sometimes be a little wild. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit more on the side, but it's lighter because the light would be hitting this more. And then where his eyes are, just gently, not dark at all, but just gently. Do you see that oval that we drew in the blue? Just gently kind of scribbly colored and not hard, just light. Okay, that's great. So now we're going to take the tan. And remember, grab tan and not peach if you have it. If you have peach, you can use that. Really, you can use whatever color you want. But we're going to color in his little snout right here. And I'm not going to color in the nose because the nose is not tan. The nose is going to look a little bit wet, like a dog nose. So don't color in on top of the nose. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to take our browns. So I have, and browns can be kind of tricky. Sometimes they can be kind of orangey. So you can try a couple out. Like we have our scrap paper here, and you can see if you have one that you like. That's a pretty good one, and that's a pretty good one. But they kind of look exactly the same. Do you care which one?
No.
Okay. And of course, my crayons have seen better days, but they still make beautiful art. So we're going to do the same thing with the brown crayon, where we kind of are following the shape and adding the texture to make them look really three-dimensional. And when we color it in, you know how sometimes people say color in the lines? We don't have to for this one because we want him to look a little bit furry. So you can draw fur kind of coming off the tops of his ears. Don't worry about making it perfect. I want you to kind of set a goal because you could sit here and color this for 3 hours and try and get it perfect. But one, it's never going to be perfect because it's a drawing. And drawings are awesome because they are not photographs. So I want you to set a goal to try and color it in like 2 minutes. Do you think you could do that?
Yeah.
Because it's okay if this is a little bit messy with your coloring. Because again, it's just going to look more like fur then. Everywhere where we did the black, except for right here where we did the tan, you can color in with the dark brown. So now before we move on, I want us to look and make sure that you can tell where your shapes are. If you need to outline like his paw right here and kind of show that shape a little bit more, you can. If you need to outline right here where his head is, where his head meets his shoulders, you can do that. Make it really dark here with the brown under, again, not on top of his snout, but underneath with the brown. Really darken his ears. And then the rest doesn't have to be really dark because it just looks like beautiful bear fur. But that way we can see the shape of our drawing. I think I'm gonna, on mine, I'm gonna go just a tiny bit darker just where his eyes are, like this, and then just a tiny bit darker in between, like right there. And then I'm gonna stop. So now we're gonna color where the little bumblebee headband, bumblebee things are. So I have this circle right here. I'm just gonna outline it like that, but not color it all the way. See how I kind of shaded it in and stopped? So I'm outlining it and then shading it in and stop. And the nice thing is we did this so small that if you decide to change where they are on your drawing or what size they are, you can do that right now when you do this. The blue line that we put down was just to help us plan. It doesn't have to be the final. And for this, you can really scream, Reagan. You can really scream with the crayon, like do it super dark. And then we're gonna take the yellow and color it in with this, a lighter yellow. Oh, sorry, babe. There you go. And then we didn't do this before because sometimes your crayon can pull black and it'll get smudgy, but now we can do the line from the little yellow circle down to the top of his head. So I have my black crayon and I'm just gonna do a line like that from the bottom down to the top of his head to show that he's wearing these little bumblebee headbands. And then right here inside where his wings are, you can make sure this is the shape you want it to be. We're using the same color we did at the beginning, so you can kind of refine the shape if you need to, but yours looks pretty perfect. Okay, so then I'm gonna take a light purple or blue. You can use any light color. You could use pink. I'm just gonna really, really, really light color, and not even just like half from like his shoulder up. Really, really, you probably can't even see it on the screen. Just so light. Awesome. And then I'm gonna take the blue because I love layering colors. I feel like it makes our drawings extra special. I'm gonna do it pretty hard at the bottom and then softer and softer at the top, just so it looks like these wings are nice and translucent. Do you know what translucent means?
Like see-through?
Yeah, like the light comes through. You may not be able to see through it, but you can see the light through it. Okay, and the last thing we're gonna do, well actually we're gonna do two things. We're gonna sign it, and then we're also gonna think about when we're brave. So sometimes it can be scary for me to meet new friends. So I'm gonna put, I'm brave when I meet a new friend. When do you feel brave? I really put you on the spot there.
Yeah.
You can think about it.
Okay.
Why don't you think about it while I write mine in? You can just write, you make me brave.
Oh.
Or yeah, when you go to school. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, and then we're going to sign it, and we're not going to use crayon or the marker. We're going to sign it in pencil, because sometimes you can spend all this time on a beautiful drawing and then do a big crazy signature that takes over your drawing. So you can take the pencil and just sign your name right here, and then put the year or the date, and then give it to someone who helps you feel brave. Reagan, you did such a good job. I'm so proud of you. I love these two bears because they look the same, but they're also different because they were done by different artists.
Yeah.
And we are going to feel brave about different things. Thank you so much for your help. And thanks for drawing with us.